Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Growth TV. I am here with the incredible, the Grammy Award-winning, the Hall of Fame award entry, the Red Rocker, the CEO of rock and roll. There are so many things I can call him. A best-selling author. He is literally one of the people that I wanted to be growing up. He brought such incredible energy to Van Halen with his music writing abilities and his vocals and all this stuff. But we're not here to talk to this man about that today. We're here to talk to him about his incredible skill as none other than a middle market business leader, Mr. Sammy Hagar. Thank you so much for joining us here today on Growth TV.
At your service. I like the intro. Every time I hear an intro like that, I'm going, man, did I do all that?
Yeah, you did. I actually, I'm blown away. I mean, a best-selling author for Sammy Hagar's greatest cocktail hits. I mean, that's going on your obit.
Well, I think that the most impressive one for me was that when I did my first biography, that I had the first celebrity, a rock star anyway, to have a real number one New York Times bestseller. I cried when that happened. It's something, certain things that I've done that I never dreamed of doing. I dreamed of being a rock star. I dreamed of doing this, doing that, traveling the world, having a beautiful home, Ferraris. I dreamt all that, but I never dreamt I'd ever write a book and have it be number one. I mean, that blew me out of the water. Otherwise I would have never wrote the other two books, the cookbook and the cocktail book, because I would have thought, it's like, I'm not going to sell any books, but my fans are crazy. They're hardcore. And that's half the reason why I've been successful in a lot of endeavors, like with my tequilas and my rum and my, cocktails now. Not just the music. It's because my fans are hardcore. They believe me because I've never lied to them and I've never given them crap. I've always given them the best of my abilities. And if I say, hey, go to Cabo, 36 years ago, I said, hey, go to Cabo. It's really a cool place. It was, and it still is. But so, I'm believable, I guess. And that's been part of the secret to my successful brands. Without my fans, I don't know what I'm doing. People say, how'd you do it? I don't know how I did it, but I know how to do it. I don't know what I'm doing, but I know how to do it. That's my whole premise. It's because of my fans. The redheads, God bless them. The guys
Sammy, I've had the pleasure of seeing you in concert, both when you were with Van Halen and also on your own, and you put on an incredible show. And obviously, you've got all these folks screaming for you and, wanting to meet you. And, there's that world. And then there's this world where you get a $100 million check when you first sold your tequila company. What's more fun?
Oh, shit. Can I cuss on this show?
Absolutely.
Oh, fuck. Well, I got to tell you, the longevity of playing music is more fun than anything in the world. The longevity of having a career where people scream for you and you write music and you go out and you just have fun with them for a couple hours and get paid very well for it. That is more fun than anything. The moment I was offered the money that Campari offered me to buy Cabo Wabo tequila, that moment when I don't know how long it took to sink in, but that moment itself was probably one of the biggest rushes you'll ever have in your life. And a guy like me who grew up poor, even though I was already wealthy with being a rock star, I had everything that you would ever want. It was still the craziest amount of money that I couldn't stop laughing. I laugh on stage. I laugh when my albums go gold or platinum. I laugh when something sells out. I laugh when my record goes number one. I get a little laugh, but this was a belly laugh rolling around on the ground, that I just it wouldn't quite sink in. It was like one of them things where I'd wake up in the middle of the night and start laughing again. So I don't know why I found it funny.
I read your mom actually advised you to make sure you diversify and do other things besides music. And that's a little bit contrary to what you sometimes hear, which is kind of go all in and pursue, your dreams. But from what I read, she really was saying, Sammy, be smart, invest, how did you get to the point where you said, you know what, I'm going to start this tequila company. I'm going to start these incredible restaurants. And what factored into that?
Well, That's a really good question, because my mother did tell me to do that. And I kind of believed her. But when you're in the middle of a really great career and you're selling millions of records and you're making all this money, I'm thinking, don't worry, Mom. It's okay. She see me on TV and say, oh, okay, you made it now. Yeah, but you still got to be careful. The biggest movie stars, my mom was a movie star nut. She loved movies, and Clark Gable and all these guys. And she would say, most of the movie stars die broken, drug addicts and alcoholics, and, commit suicide. And I'm going, man, Mom.
Jeez.
Okay. But
That's a
in the back
buzzkill.
of my head, I thought, well, it could all end tomorrow. You see a band that has a one-hit wonders. Some of these bands, their first album sells 10 million records, and their next one sells 4, and then the next one sells 1, and the next one don't sell at all, and pretty soon they're over. And you go, wow, that could happen to me. My wife, nothing insulates me from that. So that's why my work ethic was so good. I said, that ain't gonna happen to me. Comes time to make a record, I'm gonna go write the best songs I can. Comes time to go on tour, I'm going to go out and work my ass. I'm going to do a show that they're never going to forget. It's going to be the greatest show they ever saw in their life. That was my mentality. But as soon as I got some money and I had extra money in the bank, and my accountant said, hey, you've got blah, blah money in the bank. What do you want to do? I'd say, well, I want to invest it. Well, how? Then I started looking around. What do you do? Well, you can buy apartment buildings. You can, good tax write-offs. You don't have to pay so many taxes. So I just kind of learned to take care of my own business, because I don't trust a lot of people. I had a couple of investors come to me and say, hey, give us your money. We're building this housing project over here. Give us, 20 grand and blah, blah, blah. Here's your return. And then about 2 years later, what happened to my return? I said, oh, that thing went belly up, So I started saying, well, I'm going to build my own houses, and I'm going to, I just did my own investing, and the more money I got, the more braver I was to take a chance. I go down to Mexico and say, I bought a condo down there, and I was happy, loved it down there. I said, this place needs a freaking rock and roll club, man. This place needs a place where I can bring my friends and jam and drink tequila. And so one thing just leads to another. I'm really open-minded, and I'm always in search of something new and something fun and cool where I can invest in and enjoy it. I don't like just putting my money in the bank and getting the check out of there. I mean, I do that, of course, but I'd rather invest in something that brings me joy.
I mean, that brings up a great point, because, during your whole discussion, you never once said you really did it for money. I heard two things: passion, right?
Yeah.
And people. And I kept reading that about you. You said, what are the two things that have made you successful? You said, one, you had to have a passion about it. And you obviously have a passion for good liquor, right? And two, you had to have great people to run it. Talk to me about those two principal components as part of your success.
Well, probably if I had a bunch of smart, focused people around me that could do anything I thought of, I would be probably the greatest entrepreneur of all times. But I refuse to ever do anything until I have someone to do it, because I can't do it all myself. I'm an idea guy, and I got the passion to say, yeah, that's a great idea. But then it's like, but I don't know anybody that can do it. So I have to put it on ice, So finding guys like, guy sitting in front of me right now, Brian Hodes, the guy that runs my beach bar brands, Sammy's Beach Bar brands, and the Santo Tequila thing, partnering up with guys like, Jack Daniels, that came from not the Jack Daniels whiskey, but Wilson Daniels distributors that, had the infrastructure to do it. I said, okay, I'll make tequila. These guys, you find somebody that can help you get it into the marketplace and help you get it done right. And then I go to work, man. Then I put my money down. I don't go borrow money. I was
going to ask you, who invests in you? Is it all you, or you have other investors?
Me. And 99%, it's all me. Santo, I've got some partners with that for the first time. Guy Fieri, who's the greatest guy in the world. And he hijacked me. He put a gun to my head and said, dude, you promised if you ever did make tequila again that you were going to make me your partner. So I said, okay, I gave in. No, Guy Fieri is the greatest partner in the world. I've learned that partners are good, because that way you can slough off some of the responsibility, and and it's not as big a burden on you. When you got a guy like Guy Fieri, I say, hey, I can't make that dinner with the distributors or with that big account. And Guy said, well, I'll do it. I can do it. I'm off that day, or vice versa. So having good partners is great, but it's really about presidents and people that run the business. because everyone says you're such a good businessman. I am not. I don't, I'm good with math. I'm good with ideas. My gut is amazing. I say I just ain't feeling that, and I'm usually right. Or I'm really feeling this. Somebody says, no, you're wrong. No, I'm not. I'm feeling this, and I go in that direction. That usually works for me. So I just need I need good soldiers and good good guys that like to get on the phone and argue with people about stuff.
I get Guy Fieri, and that's a great partnership. Explain to me how Rick Springfield fits into Sammy's Beach Bar Rum, because I've been.
Oh, now
it wasn't enough. You wrote him a best-selling song. That wasn't good enough.
Well, no, it wasn't enough that he did my song without my permission and made me a whole bunch of money. We love Rick. Are you kidding me? You know, the story about that is Rick. I said, Rick, why was that song a hit for me? And it was such a big hit for you. And he just says, dude, I'm better looking than you.
Yeah, so, I'm gonna ask you that. So you're sitting there, and by the way, I actually think it's one of the best pop rock songs written. And I mean that truly. It is fabulous. I love to play it. I love everything about it. But you're sitting there and you write this great song. It doesn't really go anywhere on that album, right? Then this guy comes along from Australia and hits a massive hit with it. How pissed are you at that point?
No, I loved it. I mean, I swear, I got to go to my old record company who didn't do the right job getting it played. I got to go to them and say, I told you that song was a hit. And that I told you so thing, you know, I'm not a big I told you so guy. My wife's more about that than I am, by the way. But I don't mind every now and then say, hey, I told you. You know, being right is wonderful. So as long as it was a hit, eventually, yes, it all worked out for me. But anyway, Rick comes to me, you know, we've become dear friends, and he says, hey, dude, Rick comes to me like every other rock star celebrity has come to me saying, I want to get in the booze business, man. You know, see how well you did. I want to do it. And I'm going, you know, they want my help, you know, and they say, man, you know, what do I have to do? And I'm going, you know, I don't know how to, I don't know how I did it. So I can't really explain to you. I can just tell you what it costs, you know, today, which is more and more and more and more and more. And some of the steps you got to take, and you need a distributor, and you need this, and you need that. And so, I give them some guidelines, and I've done it for everybody from Justin Timberlake to right on down the line there. I tried to talk Justin Timberlake into, I had my team meet with his team, and we tried to talk them into making rum, getting involved with my rum instead of making tequila. And because I was just starting my rum at that time, and he wanted to make tequila, so he made tequila. But our man Rick Springfield's a big Hemingway freak. He just loves Hemingway. So he said he wanted to make rum because he wanted to be like Hemingway. And Hemingway, I don't think made rum, but I guess he drank rum. He was an island guy. So Rick says, I want to make rum. And I said, why would you want to make rum? You know, I've got rum. Why don't you just, I don't need you as a competitor out there. Why don't you just join up with me? I'll sell you a piece of my company. And he bought it. And he's been my partner ever since. And he's great because Rick is a different kind of promotion guy than me, you know, and he has a different fan base, even though we're both in the same business. He's got like 70% female audience. Rum is a great, you know, it's better than tequila for females, in my opinion. You know, women like rum drinks. They're pretty, they're fun, they taste good. They got fruit juice in them. They're healthier, you know, all those things. Where tequila's like, bam, woo, you know, give me a cigar, you know. He's a great partner for that.
Is it harder to compete really now? Great. I mean, you were the first to do all this. I mean, before there was George Clooney and Aviator Gin with Ryan and all these other folks out there doing this type of thing. There was you. And you know, remember, I know you know this, but that was one of the stress points with you and Van Halen. They were like, you need to give up this business. How happy are you didn't give up the business?
Oh, so happy. You don't know. I say a lot of times being thrown out of Van Halen was no fun, but I had to go around like a cat and sit in the sun and lick my paw and rub it in my eyes and say, oh man, what did I do? But having the tequila and having Cabo Wabo at that time, they would have never got the love in that band. They wouldn't let me. They didn't want me to go to Cabo. They wanted me in the studio with them. I was like, well, yeah. It was just kind of a real insecure thing. I don't know what made them insecure about it, but it was getting too much attention for them, and they thought it was taken away from their music, but it wasn't taken away from nothing. I was just an insecure thing. And everybody's like that. When my band members Jason Bonham has his own band called the Bonham
Oh, of course.
JBL. Yeah. And when he's out doing that thing and I see him posted on Instagram, I get pissy. I'm like, come on, man, you're in the circle, man. So everybody's like that. So it's not like they were freakazoids, But the point is thank God for it. When I did get, when I left Van Halen, I did get more time to put into my tequila, Cabo Wabo, and then I put a band around it, and I put a tour around it, and tour after tour after tour.
It's
I became
huge.
the biggest selling tequila in the world.
Yeah.
It's a premium tequila, that is. And it was because I paid full time to it. I could have never done that. And if I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have sold it for $100 million. I'll tell you that right now. Probably would have come and go. I would have found out how much money and how much time it took to do it, and I would have given up. I'm not a giver. I'm not a quitter. I take that back. I might not have given up, but it would have made my life miserable in Van Halen. They brothers on me, and then my booze not selling good, and the club not doing so good. It all worked out really well. And I must say, you were the best compliment you can give me is to let me know that that I built and sold a brand before they were even thinking about the idea. And most of them admit it, that I was first. And the Clooney and Gerber, I can tell you right now, they took my model. They did it right. That's why they did so well. I'm not sure about Aviator Jim, what that model was, but my model was, I invented it. I got my own bottles. I went down and found a distiller that I liked his tequila, because I tasted many tequilas down in Jalisco and all around the tequila region. And, at that time I was into the lowlands more than the highland tequila personally, because it had more earthiness, a little funkier. It had taste more like tequila to me. The highlands was a little thinner. It's hard to explain, but a little more flowery, a little more, not quite so vegetables, more like flowers is the way I put it in my nose. But I did it that way, and they did it that way. And that's why they sold it for so much. These guys that just go to somebody and say, yeah, I'll put my name on it, and never even make it down to Jalisco and eat the food and go out and with the humidors and cut up agave and pick it up with your hands and see them cut it in half and put it in the ovens and smell it and taste the pulque before it's, it's just a slimy crap in this thing that puts you in the hospital if you drink too much of it. And, barrel taste it, all that stuff is the most fun you can have in your life. It's like going on tour. It's like, I can't explain it. And that's why I'm in the restaurant business. The same thing. Making food that people like is just awesome. And getting in that kitchen and saying, man, you can make this better. Hey, this needs more salt. That's
at the same time, though, Van Halen was selling more records than ever before with you.
Oh,
How
yeah.
could they be so short-sighted? And then they went nowhere. I mean, I'm not criticizing. I mean, I can play, but I can't write a song like you can, right? But why would it seems very short-sighted just because you wanted to pursue other things, especially now everyone does it, right? You were kind of at the forefront.
Well, it wasn't just that. Of course, in Van Halen, if you want to get into what happened, there were a lot of drugs and alcohol in that band, and myself. I mean, I drank and I had my share of playing around with drugs and stuff. And I had found was getting a divorce. I had a new wife, and some of them were getting divorced, and it was just kind of a dysfunctional. It was a time that got dysfunctional, and our fearless leader, Ed Leffler, our manager, had died, and he ran that band. Eddie wasn't the leader. I wasn't the leader. I was the leader when I'd say, hey, what time you guys want to come tomorrow? Hey, I can't be here till 2:00. Why don't we get together at 2:00? But it's okay. I was that kind of a leader, but not like Ed Leffler. You guys need a record. I need it by June 5th, and you guys need to get today. You go shopping. You got to get some good clothes. We'll bring some guys over. The record's coming out. You got to do the video. I mean, he ran the freaking band, and we loved it, right? So when he died, nobody to run the band. And after 10 years, we were in our 10th year. And I have a theory, and it's for everything: marriage, a business, a band, 10 years, a decade. It's time for a regrouping. Everyone starts getting the 10-year itch. They used to call it the 7-year itch in a marriage. Well, it's the 10-year itch is when you're like, it's like kind of like, man, we got to figure out what to do here. It just calls for a rebooting and restructure of a corporation, of anything after 10 years. The brand, the label, the way the label looks after 10 years, hey, man, you better start looking at that label. It's going to start looking outdated. Probably before that, but by 10 years, you need to. So that's what happened to Van Halen. We hit the decade thing, and a lot of bands don't make it that far. So,
and you've been doing amazing things since. All right, but here's the $1 million question, right? Tomorrow,
that's all,
you're
$1 million?
Well, yeah, for you, I know $1 million isn't much, but for us regular people,
$1 million is a lot of money because you can do a lot of good with a lot of people. You can help a lot of people with $1 million. So I'll give this all away to charity if I win.
The $1 million question is: you're sitting by the beach, you're drinking your Santo tequila or mezquila, whatever your preference is that morning. It's on ice, and Wolfie calls you up and he says, "Sammy, one more time, baby, let's do it."
Oh, hell yes. If Al would be involved and Mikey, and I would insist that Dave come along somehow. He's not user friendly. I know, he doesn't play well with others and never has and never will. But if he didn't want to do it, then of course I can always sing those songs. Those songs are easy for me. I can sing those songs laying on my back smoking a cigarette, even though I don't smoke. But that would be awesome. And I would say that if there was, if Alex and Mike and I are, we're
you're tight. Yeah.
Alex is a little quirky. I don't know what he really wants to do. He probably doesn't want to ever tour again without his brother. I wouldn't blame him. If he did, Wolfie's the guy. But I don't think Wolfie wants to do that. I mean, I don't communicate with Wolfie that much. I'm not really that close with Wolfie anymore since I was not in the band. When he was little, I was very close with Wolfie. Yeah. But when he's doing a great job with his own band, he's really making it. I mean, he's carving out a name for himself, original. And I think the coolest thing he ever did was say, no, I'm not going to try to fill my dad's shoes. Like I'm going to go out and be Wolfie. He's got his dad's shoes on, man. He's wearing them, man. He's got his dad's heart. He's got his dad's talent. He's doing the right thing. That's what every kid should do. Is carve their own way. They're going to be happier that way. Otherwise, Wolfie's going to be 50 years old, waking up, going, "Man, I'm still sitting here playing, Hot for Teacher."
Panama.
he doesn't want to do that. I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to do that either if I was him. So I'm all proud of Wolfie, what he's doing, and God bless him, leave him alone. But if he wanted to go do something one time for the big time, go to Vegas, do a residency or not a tour. I can't see being out there calling yourself Van Halen.
Right.
But somehow, some way, playing that music with Wolfie, Mike, and Al, I'm in. I'll drop everything.
That's the $1 million question. All right, last thing I'm going to ask you. It's two pieces. All right, favorite song you've ever written and favorite liquor you've ever produced. Song first.
Oh, you dirty dog here. Well, man, song first. My newest song, Father Time, and I'm not saying it's because it's my new single. It's because it's the best song I've ever written in my life. It's better than Eagles Fly, because after that, I'd have to say Eagles Fly. Before that, I'd have to say Right Now or When It's Love, Van Halen songs, maybe Dreams, building up. But Father Time has got all those songs in it, and it is a masterpiece as far as me and my life goes in my heart, showing my heart and who I am. It's the most honest thing I've ever written or done in my life. So it's got to be my favorite song. My favorite spirit, I got to say, and it's the one you can't have. So this is going to make it really difficult for me, who's Mr. Promotion Man. You would think I'm promoting it, but this Lost Cask, Sammy's Beach Bar Rum. Look at the goosebumps on my arms coming up, just picking up this bottle. This is so friggin' good. It's the best thing I've ever made. It's better than Cabo Uno, and Cabo Uno was the first muy añejo that was ever made too. It was a 48-month-old tequila. Maybe somebody did it, but it was the first one on the commercial market. And when Campari bought tequila from me, they didn't want that. They said it was too expensive. I'm going, this is the best tequila that's ever been made. But this is even better. This is 10-year-old rum. And the reason I can't sell it is because there's only 500 bottles made. This is mine. Here's number 386. And this is my personal bottle. As you can see, I've been tasting it. And the thing is, it's the best thing I've ever made. It's just pure cane sugar from Hawaii. which is the cleanest cane in the world. You know, it's like it's better than Puerto Rican cane, which is the beach bar rum's made with Puerto Rican cane now. But the first 3 years I tried to make it in Maui, but before the cane dried up, they stopped replanting it, and they put in condos and strip malls and stuff. But anyway, so first year I made it, I put them in 3 big old barrels, and I put it in the back of the distillery up in Haile in Maui. And then when I moved it to Puerto Rico, I forgot about it. I moved my whole business over to Puerto Rico. Wasn't doing business with Maui anymore. Sold my house over there even. And all of a sudden, a guy calls up Brian Hodis, my COO of this company, and he goes, "What do you guys want to do with the rum?" And I said, "Holy shit, I forgot." So we call it the Lost Cask. And by the time we got it, it was, you know, a lot of it is evaporated. It's concentrated down. And that's why it's so damn good. And there it is. 500 bottles. It sold out in 2 hours to my fans. Here we go. And I can't make any more. I'm putting more in barrels now, but, you know, 10 years later. So being stupid and ignorant and dumbass rock star sometimes pays off. I got that rum out of it. But that's the best product I ever made in my life.
Well, there you go at ACG's DealMAX, where you'll be performing. We'll have plenty of Sammy's Beach Bar rum. We'll have Santo Tequila. We'll have Santo Mezquila. We'll have your mixers. We'll have shots. We'll have drinks. We'll have fun. We'll have incredible music. Woo! We will have Sammy Hagar. Sammy, I actually think the best of both worlds has been you and Tom Bohn here on ACG's Growth TV. Thank you so much, Red Rocker, music legend, Sammy Hagar.
Best of both worlds. One of my other favorite songs. That lyric is magic. Came right out of heaven on earth. Thank you, Tom.